Welcome back to another episode on the Expand Your Awareness 2.0 podcast. My name is Aaron, and this episode is mainly just full of stories. Stories of me stretching my own identity. Something I want to eventually do is actually do a vlog series where I go on my own stretch experiences, where the stretch experience is where you do something the old identity would have never done. Something that would be embarrassing. Something that gets to the brim of the fear. And when you do this, there's a psychological component to it to where it completely transforms your life. Because when you realize you care a lot about what other people think of you, when you realize you're holding yourself back in a certain way, and then you go do something the old identity would have never done, it then breaks you out of your box, and then you expand yourself. And I did this in so many different ways. I've already recorded the episode. And you'll see that you'll list. I literally share like 8 different stories with you of it, and my friend Rebecca's, which maybe you've heard before, which is hilarious, her stretch experience. But this is a very fun episode. This episode's for you if you want to challenge yourself to a new level of self, to you getting out of the box, the fear that you may feel, and really just expanding your sense of what you're capable of in your life. Many people that go through a stretch experience will find that it changes your whole life, and not just like your success, but like your money, your relationships. You start being more bold. You start unapologetically being you. It just changes so much of your life when you begin to do it. And that's another way of raising your vibration. Realize your identity is kept in a certain box. And when you break out of it, you then raise your frequency. You allow more high vibrational energy inside. And that changes just about everything. So something that I also want to share with you, if you haven't heard of it yet, there's something that I use to raise my own vibration. I share it in a couple episodes. I've shared it, but it's my favorite organic supplements that I buy, that I get. It's called Organifi. It's what I use to get my greens in for the day. Greens are very important for having energy. A lot of people don't get enough vegetables in their day as well. And one thing that's very important is having a very high-quality organic supplement. And one of the things I've been doing as well is I've been bulking. So I've been gaining weight. I've been having this intention. Part of my changing my identity is me gaining weight. I'm growing a beard right now. And this is all a part of me changing my sense of identity. I'm growing out my hair. And I'm doing it for a purpose because I want to shed the old version of me. And it's a permission slip for me to be this new identity. Now, one of the things that has been instrumental in me doing this, I've already gained about 12 to 15 pounds. And I've got another 8 pounds to go. And then I'm going to shred down a little bit. But the way that I'm doing this is, honestly, it was very important, is protein. Protein, and the best vegan organic protein I have ever found is by a company called Organifi. Now, Organifi has, they test their supplements before and after they create the supplements. They have a ton of certificates for this, but not just that, it is the best tasting supplement, protein powder I've ever found. I get vanilla and chocolate. And it digests the easiest. It's got enzymes in the actual protein powder that help it to digest easily. So I'm a huge fan. The protein is my favorite. I also do the greens every day. It helps raise vibration, stay in a high vibe state, and also have a lot of energy. I don't do caffeine. Many people that watch me know that. But if you would like 15% off of Organifi and you want to check out that vanilla or that chocolate protein or the greens, all my favorite products are if you go to Organifi.com/Aaron. And then you see the code at the top, and you can get that 15% off. So it's Organifi.com, COM/Aaron, AARON. And then put that code in at the top, get 15% off. Check out the protein, the vanilla, the chocolate. You'll see how easily it digests, and it tastes amazing. It's what I put into my ice cream that I make every day. I make an ice cream using that protein powder, and it's been instrumental in me bulking, me changing my own identity, so I wanted to share that with you one more time. This podcast's episode is sponsored by Organifi, my favorite organic supplements, and you go to Organifi, Organifi.com/Aaron. Apply the code at the top for 15% off. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It's one of my favorite ones I've made. It's literally just stories the whole time, so I think you'll enjoy it. I'll see you guys later, and as always, let's get into it right meow. Welcome back to another episode on the Expand Your Awareness 2.0 podcast. My name is Aaron Miguel in Espanol, but in English, it's just Aaron Michael. But I like Aaron Miguel better. It sounds way better. It sounds way more smooth and suave. Buttery smooth, silky voice. Aaron Miguel es me llamo. Doesn't that sound cool? Anyways, this video is on stretching, okay? Not stretching like yoga stretches. I'm not talking downward dog. I'm not talking camel pose, all right? So grab your kombucha, and we're going to be talking specifically about stretching your identity. You know that little identity? Who you think you are? You know those BS stories you've been telling yourself? Maybe the story that you're not worthy, that you're only capable of making a certain amount of money per year, going after that job is kind of scary, asking that girl or guy out is very nerve-wracking, and like you shouldn't do it, and it's not a part of who you are. Well, guess what? Breaking out of your identity is the key to freedom. It is the key to transforming your life in every way you could possibly imagine. I first talked about stretch experiences in the podcast episode I did with my friend Rebecca Boatman, and she explained her stretch experience. I'm going to share it with you in a minute, and it's funny. It's actually hilarious. But one thing that we're thinking of doing, just a group of us, is going out in public and vlogging us doing our stretch experiences. Now, what is a stretch experience? A stretch experience is the borderline of fear for something you're like, I'm not ever going to do that. That thing that you say you're never going to do is the box and the edge of that box of your identity of where you are. So even some people's boxes are very different than other people's boxes. Like, for example, a stretch experience for me would not be going to Whole Foods and dancing to like some dumb music in public with everyone watching. That's not much of a stretch experience for me. I could do that not like extraordinarily easily, but pretty easily. My buddy Victor Otto, which many of you guys know, that would be probably a very, very intense experience and stretch experience for him because he doesn't like to dance, and I don't think he would like to be the only one in like the middle of a Whole Foods or somewhere doing it. But a stretch experience depends upon the person. A stretch experience for one person could be just being in a coffee shop and saying hi to the person in front of them. To another person, it could be saying hi and asking them about the weather. To another person, it could be asking them out on a date. Whatever your stretch experience is, when you begin to brush against it and you do it, you then redefine your sense of identity for who you are. And I'm going to share a couple ways. You know, I've shared this story before, and maybe you've heard me share it, so I'm sorry if it's a little bit repetitive. I do make tons and tons of content on videos and YouTube and everywhere, so sometimes the stories get a little repetitive. I'll tell you a new story, though. Eventually. We'll get there. At the very end of this episode. I'm just kidding. I'll tell it in a minute. So I used to be afraid of talking on videos. I used to live at my dad's house. I used to make videos in the backyard with a pool, and I would make these videos, and the whole time I'd make in the video, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I hope my dad doesn't hear me talking about this weird esoteric stuff, because I knew he didn't really understand a lot of the spiritual awakening stuff, so I was kind of afraid of him overhearing that. So I realized, though, when I was making these videos that I would hold my voice back from its full exposure of like boomness and boldness. I was like, hey guys, so, today we're talking about the third sign of spiritual awakening. And I was kind of afraid to like really just let loose, So I said, you know what? Done with this. I'm going to create a stretch experience. I didn't call it a stretch experience, but I was like, I'm going to get over this fear. So living in Las Vegas is what I did. I went to the Las Vegas Strip with a selfie stick. And I walked around in front of the Bellagio with the selfie stick and talked to the phone, to like a video camera. It's kind of like a video camera. It was a phone, but I was filming myself, and I was talking loudly about esoteric stuff that I was afraid that I was worried people were going to judge me about. I did that for about 10, 15 minutes. Then what I did is I went inside of the Caesars Forum Shops. Very busy area, and it's much more quiet, even though there's a lot of people there, to where people could even more loudly hear what I was saying. So I walked through the shops, filming myself, talking, and making a video. Guess what happened after about a half an hour of this whole process? I started to think I was a badass. I'm like, who else would do something like this? It redefined my sense of identity. I then didn't care what people think anymore. Here's also what I realized. Most peeps, guess what most peeps is doing? Thinking about themselves. They're not even thinking about what other people are doing. So guess what that did? That redefined myself, and then making videos is very easy. I can even make videos in public now, and it's like no big deal. I can vlog in public. I could make videos and stories while in grocery stores, joking around, and I don't care what people think. But you see, I had to brush up against that stretch experience where I thought I would never go. And then I redefined to set myself, and then it completely changed my identity. But also changing your identity could be a little bit more subtle. For example, I used to see myself as having ADHD. Doctors told me, they said, hey, you have ADHD. Actually, people told me I had ADHD. Go to a doctor. I think doctors will just give you whatever pharmaceutical you want. I was like, hey, I was told I have ADHD. And they're like, well, is it hard to sleep? Is it hard to focus? I'm like, yeah, it's hard to focus. They're like, here's Adderall. So I was like, okay. So I took this Adderall, which had very harsh side effects. Like you couldn't eat very much. You couldn't sleep very much. And after about a year, I was like, you know what? This kind of sucks. I can't sleep that good. Can't eat that good. I had to smoke weed in order to balance it out. So here I'm doing Adderall in the morning. And at nighttime, I got to smoke a lot of weed so I can sleep and eat. And then I was like, okay, I need to figure out something else. So I went online, found out black and white research. It said, yo, meditation's so powerful and there's no negative side effects of it. And I said, okay, I'm going to start meditating. 3 or 4 days in meditation, nothing crazy happened. But eventually I started to feel completely different after about a week or two. And then after about a month of doing it, I started to see myself as this meditative type person. It changed my sense of identity. And that was something small. It wasn't like, oh, this is so, but it was kind of uncomfortable for me to just observe my thoughts and sit there for a couple minutes a day. That was also more of a calm version of me stretching my identity. So when you get into uncomfortable territory, you then begin to transform the way you see yourself. Now, I'll share this story with you as well. This just happened a couple weeks ago. I was in Sedona. I was with a friend of mine he used to be my assistant, and he's now transitioned. I'm getting a new assistant. He's going back to New York, still a friend. However, this is something that happened. This is very small, but this is very subtle, okay? The kind of person I am is I'm a very bold person. I'm a very intense person, and I go after what I want. I'll share with you a couple more experiences that really wired in for me. So we go to this restaurant in Sedona, and I call about 20, 30 minutes before, and I say, yo, I need to make a reservation for 2. We're going to come in. Can I make reservations? They said, you don't have to, we're not busy. Just come in. We don't have to make a reservation and everything. I said, okay, I'll be there soon. I'm on my way. About 15, 20 minutes later, I was there. I get to the front, and I'm with my buddy Austin, and I go, all right. I say, hey, I called 15, 20 minutes ago, got a table for 2. Can we get a table? And they go, oh, it's going to be a 35 to 45-minute wait. And I looked at them and I said, I called 20 minutes ago, and you all said that we just walked in. If you guys would have said that it would be a 35 to 45-minute wait, I would have gone somewhere else, or I would have done something and then came in 35 minutes, or I would have made the reservations like I originally asked. So I said, I need to either sit down and get a seat, or we're going to a different restaurant. And I wasn't a dick. I was just firm. And they look around. They say, give me 2 minutes. They give me 2 minutes, and they sat us down. And then as I sat down with my buddy Austin, and we were talking, about what we learned from each other and stuff. He worked with me for a year. He goes, bro, he said, that sums up everything that I've learned from you this year. Because he was more of a passive guy. And he's learning how to take his power back and go after what he wants. And that experience for him, that's how I was with many things. If I needed something done, he's like, oh, well, I went to go do this, but they said no. I was like, well, you figure out a way to make it happen. You don't just say, okay, that's it. As if I wanted to make a video on YouTube, and I went to make a video on YouTube, and it didn't do so well. That the first video I ever made when I went daily, and I was like, oh, I guess this doesn't work. No, you figure it out until it works. And I know that's a more masculine, aggressive way of going about it, but it's a mentality that stretched my own identity. That's how I am in many different areas of my life. I very much go after the things that I want, and that's just a part of my identity. So he's like, everything I've learned from you is kind of summed up in that one experience. And I remember there were many times his mind was blown with different things, just different things of him being like, wow, just the way I am. That's just kind of how I am in general. But him seeing me in public and the way sometimes I talk to people, I don't talk down to people. I'm just very firm. I'm like, yo, this is what I want. This is what I said. This is what we agreed on. And that is kind of a way. Now, let me explain to you how this actually came. I used to be a very passive person. I used to be somebody that was like wanting to people please, and I wanted everyone else to be happy, and I wouldn't really go after what I wanted. If somebody told me no, I'd be like, okay. But eventually I became more of a rebel, and this is something that happened. Here's the new story that I haven't shared that much before. Back in, I don't even know what, 2008, 2009, when I first got a job working at Nordstrom Rack. Okay, so you have Nordstrom's and Nordstrom Rack. Nordstrom Rack is like a discounted place. It's an hourly paying job. I worked in women's shoes at Nordstrom Rack, which means I just put out pairs of shoes all day, and it was like an hourly. I think I got $8 an hour or something like that, and I worked there. Now, the only reason I got that job, because I was fresh, I was 18 years old, the only reason I got that job was because I told them I want to work here because I knew that after 6 months of working at Nordstrom Rack, you can then transfer to the full-line store. The full-line Nordstrom's where you get paid. You don't get paid hourly, you get paid commission. I wanted to get paid commission. I didn't want to have a cap to what I could make. So I start working at Nordstrom Rack, and I worked there for 6 months. And I'm like, okay, the 6 months is here. I want to go to the full-line store. Well, guess what they told me there? They said, no, Aaron, you're not ready. You're not ready to go to the full-line store. You need more prepping. You need more training to go to the full-line store. We don't want to set you up for failure. You want to know what was really happening? Corporate, politics. They didn't want me to leave the Nordstrom Rack because there was such a high turnover rate there. I was one of the few consistent, hardworking employees, so they wanted to keep me there so that if I went to the other one, then they would lose me. They'd have to fill my position. Well, guess what I would have done if I was passive? I would have said, okay, you're right. Maybe another 6 months I'll wait around. I'll just wait until I'm ready. I don't want to be set up for failure. No, you want to know what I did? I went to the full-line store. I bought a suit. I went to the full-line store at the Fashion Show Mall. I walked in and I said, hey, I want to talk to the store manager. I want to apply and I want to talk to the store manager. They said, oh, I'm sorry, the store manager normally doesn't talk to people. You talk to one of the other department managers. I said, no, I want to talk to the store manager. And they said, okay. Eventually, the store manager, after about 20 minutes, the store manager comes down. Her name is Lori Jo. I remember this. She comes up, and I talked to her, and I said, listen, nice to meet you. My name is Aaron. I'm a very hard worker. I am very good at, like, I wasn't I wasn't trying to be cocky or anything. I was like, I'm good with people. I work at the Nordstrom Rack. I've been over there for over 6 months. I want to transfer here. I'd make a great salesperson. I'm a very hard worker. I'm very intrigued with the idea of getting paid commission. I want to goal myself at being like one of the top salespeople. I'm very ambitious. I study personal development, blah, 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 blah. She says, okay, she liked me. I go back to work. Guess what happens? The Rack said you're not allowed to transfer. Lori Jo said, doesn't matter what you think, we want him over here. I was there a month later. After a couple months, they had this store meeting every month or every couple, maybe it was every quarter. There'd be a store meeting where the Rack and the full line people would all go to this meeting. The managers from the Rack would go. Guess what happened? I got called out as one of the new top salespeople of Brass Plum Shoes, which is where I worked. They called me up to the front. They acknowledged me for being a top salesperson and being like such a great worker, salesperson, whatever. As I was receiving the applause or whatever, you want to know who I looked at? The department managers that told me that they were going to set me up for failure. I'll never forget that experience. So, you pave your own way. The reason I share this experience is because if you buy into when you're told no immediately and you're not persistent, then you may not get that far. But if you have a vision and you go towards it, it then begins to rewire your sense of identity and what you're capable of. I know now that I can go after what I want because I've done that many times in the past, but also just in general, that's just who I am. I am the kind of person that goes after what I want. And you can create stretch experiences for yourself to get out of that. Now, let me share you the story of my friend Rebecca. If you haven't seen the episode yet, I forget which episode, but you type it in on Spotify or iTunes, Aaron Doughty and Rebecca Boatman. You'll see it there. I think it's on Attracting Your Dream Man is like the name of the episode. So, Rebecca had a stretch experience. She had a friend that went with her. This is like an organized stretch experience, I guess. She has a friend that goes with her. And the friend that goes with her is her support partner that is supposed to make sure that she goes through and she creates a stretch experience, that she goes through and follows through with what she says she's supposed to do. Now, her stretch experience is she realized that she was afraid of, and she really cared what people thought of her, like most people do. The same reason I went and did that video on the Las Vegas Strip. So what she did is she went to that of her stretch experience was to go to Denny's. So she goes to Denny's, and her friend, that's the support person, is at a different table. Nobody knows that they know each other. Her friend's at a different table, and she wanted her friend to film this experience, but her friend wouldn't do it. Her friend was too afraid. That could have been a stretch experience for her, for her friend. So this is what Rebecca has to do. Rebecca's afraid of what other people would think. So she must go to Denny's with her invisible boyfriend and have a full-on conversation with him the whole time, order food for her invisible boyfriend, and send the food back because it's not cooked well enough. Twice. So she's got to tell the waitress, I'm sorry, my boyfriend's food is not cooked well enough. And once the waitress realized that it wasn't a boyfriend that was at the bathroom, it was like an invisible boyfriend because she was having a full-on conversation the whole time with her invisible boyfriend. So literally, her stretch experience was having people think she was crazy. There were families around that were trying to hide their kids from seeing the crazy lady talk to her invisible boyfriend. Now, how much of a stretch experience is that? Right? Wouldn't most of you say, wow, that's a pretty big stretch experience? It's not over yet. What she then has to do is she then gets proposed to by her invisible boyfriend. She has to scream yes, and everyone in the restaurant's looking at her like, dude, you don't have a boyfriend. You're talking to your invisible boyfriend. She then has to scream yes, and guess what happened? She goes through that experience. As she's walking out of the restaurant, people are congratulating her at the entryway, not knowing that it was an invisible boyfriend that proposed to her. So she said that after this experience, she felt so free. She felt so like anything could happen in her life. Her whole entire life transformed. She started realizing where she was holding herself back in other areas of her life. Within 2 or 3 months, she had started her own business. She now teaches people how to attract their dream man. She now is living her dream life on her own terms because she has broken out of that little identity box that she had. That is a stretch experience. Now, that may be more intense for many of you listen to this. But what I encourage every single one of you to do is to find a stretch experience for you and then to do it. And to then film it. That's a stretch experience for many of you. I'm not going to film it. What do people think if they see me filming myself or someone else filming me? Why would I do that? I don't like to be on camera. It's going to be embarrassing. That's a stretch experience in of itself. I'd encourage all of you to do a stretch experience, to record it, and to email it to me. And maybe what I'll do is I'll put it into like a big YouTube video where I'll do something with it, or I'll share it on my social media. If you feel stretched out enough to do, that's enough a stretch experience for you. And share a story in a video of the kind of stretch experience of why you were afraid to do this thing, where it came from, like why you think that fear is there, and then what you did to overcome it, and then what happened after you overcame it and how you feel now. If you were to make a video like that and send it to me, you could send it to aaron@aarondoughty.com. Email it to me. Email the video file or something. I'll be sharing those. I'll make a video compilation of it on YouTube or something like that. But that's a challenge that I give every single one of you. Now, a challenge could be that you go and you ask for a raise from your boss. Now, obviously, some things you won't be able to film. But what I mean is, like, some people, like another example that Rebecca told me of someone that she knew, what they had to do is they had these are called stretch experiences. And what I may do eventually is I may vlog my own stretch experiences that I do with other friends of mine to show you guys them, how to break out of that identity. Now, one of them, for one of her friends, was she had to go to Walmart, find a stranger that would then do, the Titanic where like you got Jack or you got like Leo and like the other lady and they're like doing this thing at the front of like Titanic. Well, what they did is she had to find another guy, some guy, to do that and reenact that on a shopping cart. And she brought a boombox and had to blast My Heart Will Go On and film it. So as she's doing this, of course, it's very embarrassing, but guess what? Anybody that does a stretch experience will feel incredibly free afterwards. Your life will transform, literally. Maybe I'll do a stretch experience challenge. Wouldn't that be fun? Stretch experience challenge. Doesn't that sound kind of cool? Maybe I'll do something. I did a 21-day challenge recently, and it was the most profound results I've ever seen out of any program I've ever done. And for 21 days, people got videos, and there was homework, and they would take photos or do different activities and then post about it in the community Facebook group. And it was insane the kind of transformations that people had. I didn't have to really ask for testimonials. I was like, hey, guys, if you had a cool I literally would get them before I even asked. People were like, this is the most transformative group I've ever been in. It's a 21-day Raise Your Vibration challenge, and it's kind of like a similar type stretch experience type things that you go through. It's just you're held accountable for it. It's not like think a better thought. It's not videos and ideology. It's like do this, do this, do this, and now your vibration's raised. If you haven't joined that yet, then go to Raise Your Vibration Challenge, www.raiseyourvibrationchallenge.com, or go to aarondoughty.com/challenge, AARONDOUGHTY.com/challenge, CHALLENGE. And you can join the 21-day Raise Your Vibration Challenge. It's the High Vibe group. High Vibe tribe in there is super high vibe. That was very exciting. But in general, stretch your identity. I challenge you to some type of stretch experience. Share with me what it is. Email me a video if you do a video. Share it on social media if you do it on Instagram and tag me, and I'll be reposting as well. Other than that, this is the stretch experience of 2020. I encourage you all to do it, to get out of your little box, get out of the brim of fear. Once you get through that, man, a whole new world opens up. And I encourage you to try that out and do that, to be about it. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace, much love, and namaste.